This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by the good folks over at Ease, California's top one-stop website for legal marijuana delivery. Ease.com is a great place to find all kinds of legal cannabis products that are properly tested, packaged, and labeled. From super great deals on $15 eighths of flower to high-end vaporizers like the packs, Ease has the whole spectrum covered. Their wide variety of different products will give you the freedom and flexibility to consume your cannabis in whatever way works best for you. Maybe you're more of a concentrates fan, or maybe eating edibles or applying topicals is your go-to mode. However you like to consume, Ease.com is a great place to stock up on lots of high-quality consumables at great prices. Zip over to Ease.com to check out if they are active in your part of California, and if they are, get your order in so you can take delivery in less than an hour. What a world we live in. Just swing over to ease.com, spelled E-A-Z-E, to see how easy California legal cannabis delivery can be. Thanks to everyone at Ease for supporting today's news. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Wednesday, July 18th, 2018, and you're tuned in to episode 530 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. Our top story today is an excellent one by Kyle Yeager over at Marijuana Moment, who picked up on news of a recently wrapped up trial in Georgia where the jury decided that the defendant had indeed broken the law when he grew a bunch of marijuana, but that it made little sense for him to get in trouble for it, handing him a non-guilty verdict because they believe the law that was broken is unjust. That's the gist of a process called jury nullification, where a jury in a criminal trial can decide that justice would be better served by finding the defendant not guilty, even if it's clear that the crime was actually committed. In this case, it was defendant Giovanni McCoy who admitted to growing marijuana, but said that he did so to treat a number of medical conditions he's lived with since being attacked and beaten back in 2003. Jury nullification is an extremely powerful tool against the abuses of power and is something that most people aren't super familiar with. Swing over to Kyle's piece for more on this one and to get your head properly wrapped around the issue. You never know when you might find yourself on a jury in need of some nullification. Swinging over to Michigan, we have a really interesting situation building up for the few prospective medical marijuana companies who were just issued approval for business operating licenses. I reported on this one recently as Michigan state officials handed out the state's first 7 licenses for the more robust medical marijuana program enacted by law in 2016. The interesting twist on this is that the holders of those first 7 licenses are now blocked from actually operating as businesses until the state gets their ducks in a row and rolls out approved cannabis testing licenses. That wouldn't be as much of a problem as it is for companies that are just starting up and that have yet to open, but the 7 first licenses all went to established and already operating medical marijuana companies, which must now either close down until testing is available or pay a $48,000 fee to keep their doors open. It's a complicated situation. Swing over to Michigan Live for the full read. Mr. Kyle Yeager over Marijuana Moment bookends today's top stories with a newly released study that suggests that legalizing marijuana leads to lower rates of violent and property crime. The study tracks prosecutors' clearance rates for various categories of crime in Colorado and Washington state and pegs them against the national picture, both before and after those 2 states respectively legalized adult use cannabis. The results are pretty remarkable and show the rates for violent crime and property crimes falling in Colorado and Washington, even as they rose nationally. Our third story today, and the third that I would suggest you actually open up and read. As always, we have all the news we cover linked to on our website at mjtodaydaily.com and on our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz out on headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, Ease, California's top one-stop website for legal marijuana delivery. Not only does Ease.com have a huge variety of legal marijuana products for delivery, all properly tested, packaged, and labeled, but they also have a wide range of price points within each individual product category, which means that you can find $15 an eighth flower or drop some more dollars on the high-end $49 eighths. It's the same for concentrates, where as little as $30 a gram will get you in the game, or you can play like a super rich baller and spend up to $150 a gram. You can buy $5 pre-rolls or $22 pre-rolls. Whatever product category you look at, you'll find nearly the same thing. Whatever your preferred price point for legal California marijuana products is, Ease has you covered. Open up ease.com, spelled E-A-Z-E, to start browsing yourself and to get your order in, assuming, of course, that you live where Ease is active and that it's during legal hours for delivery. One last time, that's ease.com. All right, time for the Blitz. Late last week, the Florida Department of Health issued a medical marijuana cultivation license to a Miami-based cultivation company and announced that it would soon be issuing 4 more. Florida's medical marijuana program has been something of a mess ever since voters passed a ballot measure calling for its expansion in 2016, and has been the host of lots of headlines about delays in implementation and problems with licensing. If you're in the Florida market at all, you probably want to give this story a perusal. Speaking of problems with implementation, the rollout of a registry of medical marijuana patients in Ohio is being put on hold as state officials work to hammer out all the details for how their new system will work. Ohio has handed out 25 cultivation licenses so far, but has not yet completed the process required to clear each of those cultivators to put seed to soil, leaving the exact date when Ohio medical marijuana patients can expect to be able to buy their medicine still up in the air. The registry of patients will contain all of the state's medical marijuana users and is, according to the state's pharmacy board, ready to be deployed as soon as the board decides that they're ready. Canada's Star Edmonton takes a really good look at a potential problem up north of the border for Canadian medical marijuana users. This one brings up a long-running storyline here on Marijuana Today Daily with the issue of driving under the influence of cannabis. Regular listeners know that there is no way right now to quantifiably decide if someone is too high on cannabis to safely operate a motor vehicle in the same way we can for users of alcohol. With booze, you just blow into a machine that will spit out a number that correlates pretty well with how safe or dangerous of a driver you are at that moment. That does not exist for cannabis. The big potential problem up north comes about because of how Canadian lawmakers decided to regulate driving in cannabis by imposing a limit on the amount of THC metabolites found in a person's blood, even though that number does not at all describe a person's ability to drive. At all. Under new rules governing marijuana and driving, drivers with 2 to 5 nanograms of THC metabolite per milliliter of blood could face fines up to $1,000, while folks with more than 5 nanograms can be arrested and put in jail. Both of those levels are far below the amounts found in typical medical marijuana users, whose THC metabolite counts can easily breach 20 nanograms or more, even though that patient is perfectly fine to drive. Open this one up and give a full dive in. Canadian-based marijuana company Khiron Life Sciences, which is working to build out operations in a number of Latin American countries, including Mexico and Colombia, just announced that they were adding former Mexican President Vicente Fox to its board of directors. Leafly's Harrison Jordan just put together a good article looking at the current state of advertising and marketing up in Canada's legal marijuana industry. This is another storyline that's starting to pop up more and more in the news as Canada flies towards the October 17th date upon which adult use will be legal nationwide. Harrison talked to some smart cannabis industry lawyers about the options Canadian medical marijuana companies have right now for marketing, making this one another story I'd read in full. Grabbing Marijuana Moment's third headline on our news today is site founder and Uber cannabis journo Tom Angel, who found a just-released poll that finds that voters in a number of key congressional districts are hugely in favor of legalizing marijuana. The poll was conducted in a total of 60 competitive congressional districts and found that 60% of respondents are in favor of adult use legalization versus just 36% who are opposed. And finally for today, we wrap up with a story that's a good reminder about all the work we still have to do in our movement and fight. A woman in Methuen, Massachusetts was recently laid off from her job working for the Sodexo company, which manages food services at the hospital where Bernadette Coughlin worked up until May, when she was fired after failing a drug test for cannabis. Ms. Coughlin slipped and fell at work and, as part of the company's response, was medically tested for cannabis. When that test came back positive, Ms. Coughlin was fired, even though she said she never once showed up for work high. In response to the story, Sodexo issued a weaselly worded statement reading, quote, Sodexo complies with the law and recognizes that this is an evolving legal and social issue. As many employers are currently doing, we are evaluating our policies in light of the changing landscape, unquote. Just a little context here, Sodexo is one of the larger providers of prison meal services and is generally seen as a foe in the battle against private prisons. So this action fits right into their soulless corporate culture. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at MJTodayDaily and visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. How does the man on the moon clip his hedges? Eclipse it. Thanks to our sponsor, Ease, and to all of our awesome patron listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the patron listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in, starting your day with marijuana today. Today.
One take, Shay. One take.